a lot of stuff that's on today is coonery and buffoonery. And I know it's making a lot of money, breaking records, but we could do better because each artist should be allowed to pursue the artistic endeavor. But I still think there a lot of stuff that's on today.
I don't know, man. It's just like Tyler Perry.
I will punch the hell out of you. Say something else.
That is my answer to Spike Lee. Go to hell. Go.
I will punch the hell out of you. Say something else.
Let me just say this about Spike, anybody else, all the critics, anybody else. You know, it's only black people that do this to each other. I've never seen Jewish people complaining about Seinfeld. I've never seen Italian people complaining about The Sopranos. It's only us as that do this to each other. And I can't fix it. Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois did it.
For a long time, people in Hollywood and fans of their work wondered why Denzel Washington never worked with Tyler Perry. It seems strange because they are both very successful black men in Hollywood, and they both care about creating opportunities for black people in the movie business. Interestingly, Denzel Washington explained why he chose not to work with Tyler Perry, and his explanation is causing a lot of talk and debate. Denzel Washington said that Tyler Perry is not easy to work with. He explained that Tyler Perry makes the work environment for his movies and TV shows very difficult for actors and other people working on the productions. He also said that he doesn't agree with the way Tyler Perry portrays black people in his movies and shows. He thinks some of the characters are not shown in a positive or respectful way. This is a big deal because Denzel Washington is a very important and respected person in Hollywood. And when he speaks, people listen. Now, people are talking about whether Tyler Perry's movies and shows are good for the black community, or if they are actually harmful because of the way they portray black people. Is Denzel Washington simply exercising his artistic preferences, or does his reluctance to work with a figure like Perry speak to a deeper disconnect with a new generation of black artists and audiences? The conversation is complex, nuanced, and deeply uncomfortable, but it's one we need to have. I mean, let's talk about Tyler Perry for a second. The man is a force of nature, right? Built a whole empire from the ground up, and went from being homeless to owning a jet and a massive studio. You've got to respect the hustle. But have you ever noticed who's not showing up in his movies? And I'm talking about big-name black actors. Where's the Denzel, the Idris Elba, the Viola Davis? It's not like Perry can't afford them. The man's got billions. He could easily make it rain A-listers if he wanted to. So why the hesitation from Hollywood's elite? Some people point to Perry's signature style, the Medea formula, as a turnoff for actors looking for more complex roles. And let's be real, Perry's own life story is probably more compelling than half the movies he's made. The worst part about all of this is that Denzel isn't the first person to talk about how Tyler is truly a disastrous person for the black community. Even Spike Lee, who's basically the godfather of black cinema, has thrown some shade at Perry, and Spike's not exactly known for holding back. Plus, he's tight with everyone from Denzel to Samuel L. Jackson, so when he speaks, the industry listens. It makes you wonder if there is a silent boycott happening. Are actors avoiding Perry's projects for a reason? Because talent and money clearly aren't the issue here. Something else has got to be going on. And while these two are big names in the industry, they haven't always been the best of friends. In fact, they've had some pretty public disagreements over the years. Both of them have done amazing things by showcasing black stories on screen, but they've gone about it in totally different ways, and that's where the tension comes in. Things really started heating up around 2009 when Spike Lee, who's never been afraid to speak his mind, started criticizing Tyler Perry's movies and TV shows. Now, Spike is known for his raw and unapologetic style, and he didn't hold back when it came to Perry's work. He basically called it out for being full of coonery and buffoonery, saying that it reinforced negative stereotypes about black people.
There's a school of thought that says, oh, we're not diversifying our imagery enough in our community yet. There are certain images, whether they be in plays or movies or music, that we flock to, whether we like to admit it or not. I'm wondering, is that just the black middle class saying, oh no, that's not what we want, but a lot of us wanting it?
Well, I mean, this is a complex subject because each artist should be allowed to pursue the artistic endeavor. But I still think there a lot of stuff that's on today is coonery and buffoonery. And I know it's making a lot of money, breaking records, but we could do better. That's just my opinion. I mean, I'm a huge basketball fan, and when I watch the games on TNT, I see these two ads for these two shows, I'm scratching my head. You know, we got a black president. You know, are we going back to Mantan Moreland and sleep and eat?
He even went as far as comparing Perry's stuff to the kind of stereotypical stuff you'd see on, as he put it, the idiot box, a pretty harsh dig at TV in general. He basically said that by watching and supporting this kind of content, we're contributing to the problem. Now, to be fair, Spike did acknowledge that Tyler Perry is a smart guy who knows how to make a hit. I mean, the man has a huge and dedicated fan base. But Spike wasn't cool with the image that Perry's movies and shows were putting out there. He felt like Perry was prioritizing ratings over responsibility, even if it meant playing into harmful stereotypes.
Yet, if those films, I mean, we're talking about Tyler Perry at this point. No, I mean, look.
John Singleton, you know, people came out to see Boys in the Hood. He did Rosewood. Nobody showed up. So a lot of this is on us. A lot of this is on us. You know, you vote with your pocketbook, your wallet, you vote with your time, sitting in front of the idiot box. And the man has a huge audience, and Tyler's very smart. You know what he's done. He started out, you know, with these plays, and church buses would pull up, packed, and he's parlayed it into a, you know, bought his own jet. You know, you can buy a jet, you got money. But at the same time, for me, just imagery is troubling.
So yeah, there's definitely been some friction between these two cinematic heavyweights. It's a complex issue with valid points on both sides. It really makes you think about representation, responsibility, and the power of storytelling. As you'd expect, a lot of people agree with Spike Lee on this one. They feel like Tyler Perry's style of comedy, while popular, often relies on those oversimplified and stereotypical portrayals of black people. And while Perry argues that he's creating jobs for black actors and bringing in tons of money, critics say that's not a good enough excuse to keep putting those kinds of images out there. It's like this. Imagine a drug dealer who's making bank and spreading some of that wealth around the neighborhood. Does that make their business okay just because some people are benefiting? Or think about those huge corporations that rake in profits and employ tons of people, but they also crush smaller businesses with better products by flooding the market with cheap stuff. The point is, just because something is profitable doesn't automatically make it right or good for the community in the long run. Spike Lee, on the other hand, has always been about making movies that celebrate black culture in all its complexity, without resorting to those tired old stereotypes. Sure, his films might not always be box office smashes, but Spike takes pride in the stories he tells. For him, it's all about showing love and respect to the black community through his art, even if it means challenging audiences and pushing boundaries. One of the biggest criticisms is how Perry's movies often fall back on those super stereotypical portrayals of black families and black culture in general. And then there are those over-the-top dramatic films where black men and women are shown as evil or just straight up messed up. Not exactly the most empowering representations, right? And then there are the behind-the-scenes rumors too. People talk about a toxic work environment, pressure to participate in religious practices, and whispers about Perry's stance on LGBTQ+ issues. Plus, a lot of people have pointed out that in many of his films, dark-skinned black male actors are often cast as villains. Like you said, it makes you wonder what's really going on there.
I'm not a Tyler Perry fan, so this is what I got to say. It's funny how he got all this money to do everything but the right thing. And this lets me know that he's scared of white people and he has to stay in this weird box.
And you're not the only one who's noticed this stuff. Even people within the industry, like Chris Rock, have spoken out about it. Remember when he joked about how there aren't many kind, respectful, dark-skinned boyfriends in Tyler Perry movies? He even brought up Tupac Shakur, saying that Tupac might be a political leader if he were alive today. But in a Tyler Perry movie, he'd probably be stuck playing the stereotypical bad boyfriend. It was a joke, sure, but it highlighted a real issue that a lot of people have picked up on. It's like there's this formula in a lot of Perry's films, and it often relies on outdated and harmful tropes. Chris Rock didn't hold back. He even joked, "I would hope Tupac's a senator, but he might be kicking Jill Scott down a flight of stairs." He was basically saying that the roles Tyler Perry offers often don't show the full range of what it means to be black. And then cultural critic Jamila Lemieux really brought the heat. She wrote this whole open letter to Tyler Perry that was published by the NPR. She was like, look, through your movies, the whole country has been laughing at one of the most important figures in the black community, our beloved matriarchs. She called him out directly about Madea, saying, I just can't get with seeing Mother Dear, played by a 6'3" man with prosthetic breasts flopping in the wind. Our mothers and grandmothers deserve much more than that. Lemieux's point was crystal clear. Tyler Perry might be telling Hollywood to back off in some ways, but he's also playing into these harmful stereotypes that don't do the black community any favors. So you've got Chris Rock, Jamila Lemieux, and a whole bunch of other folks all saying the same thing. Tyler Perry's casting and storytelling choices are kind of messed up. They're questioning how his approach might be affecting the film industry as a whole and how black characters are portrayed on screen. It's a big deal. A growing discontent is brewing beneath the surface of Tyler Perry's cinematic empire. What was once whispered in private circles is now finding a voice, as prominent black actors are increasingly expressing their reservations about collaborating with the entertainment mogul. Denzel Washington, a figure widely regarded as one of the most accomplished and respected actors of our time, has been particularly outspoken in his refusal to work with Perry. Washington, known for his discerning choice of roles and his commitment to projects that elevate and celebrate black stories, has made it clear that he finds Perry's brand of storytelling misaligned with his own artistic values. This sentiment is quietly echoed throughout the industry. A-list black actors, empowered by their success and increasingly conscious of their cultural influence, are no longer willing to compromise their principles for a role, no matter how high-profile the project. They are seeking collaborations that offer them the opportunity to portray black characters with depth, dignity, and authenticity, a far cry from the often one-dimensional and caricatured representations that have become synonymous with Tyler Perry's work. Many even say that he makes work conditions really difficult.
Mr. Perry comes in, everything changes. So we literally run the entire episode for him, and he hates it. Does that mean I have to learn a whole new script? Yes, that's what it means.
So I don't know if you know this, but all shows on television have a writer's room. And most of the time there are 10 people, 12, whatever, that write all these television shows, right? Well, I have no writer's room. Nobody writes any of my work. I write it all. Why am I telling you this? I wrote all of these scripts by myself in 2019. What's my point? Work ethic.
And he's not just horrible to the actors, but also to the team behind the scenes.
It's so shocking because he has so many projects going on. He's such a busy man. How does he do it without a writer's room?
He does it very well without a writer's room because he says when he had a writer's room, it was counterproductive for him. The script would come, and the way he puts it, he would pay people to write a script. He didn't like the script. You have to pay him to rewrite it. And then when he fixed it himself, they'd go and complain to the union, and then he had to pay something else. So he just said, I don't have to do that anymore. I'll just do what I do. Yes. Because he knows his audience.
And they know his voice.
Yes, and they know his voice. He knows what they are expecting, and he gives it to them.
Many argue that his films consistently paint black women as bitter, long-suffering, and trapped in dysfunctional, often abusive relationships. This pattern, evident in movies like Acrimony, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, For Colored Girls, and countless others, has sparked outrage and accusations that Perry is perpetuating harmful stereotypes that damage the image of black women in the eyes of the public.
Bitter black woman, huh?
I'm not bitter. I'm mad as hell.
The question many pose is, why are black women so often relegated to roles of suffering in Perry's universe? They are beaten, betrayed, and marginalized, their pain put on display for the world to consume. Critics argue that if Perry genuinely aimed to uplift black voices, he wouldn't consistently portray black women through such a distorted and negative lens. Finding a handful of his films where black women aren't reduced to harmful stereotypes is a challenge in itself. One ex-user wrote, "Black people do deserve to have our stories told." But Tyler Perry is not a storyteller. He is a man who hates black women and continues to make movies where he punishes black women for choosing happiness over suffering. He believes black women is synonymous with pain. The issue is further compounded by Perry's portrayal of Madea, the loud, overbearing, and often physically aggressive character he embodies in a drag outfit. While some find humor in Madea's antics, others argue that the character reinforces harmful stereotypes about black women being domineering, aggressive, and lacking refinement.
Don't blame her. She has had you under her thumb since you were born. She lives her life through you. Don't you want to just make a decision on your own, just once? Lisa, you gotta learn to fight.
But I've never had to fight before. Okay, somebody has always fought for me. And I can't fight him.
Even those who find moments of humor in Perry's work acknowledge the underlying problem. The concern is that these portrayals, consumed by audiences of all backgrounds, contribute to a distorted and damaging image of black women. As writer Cassie DaCosta points out, Perry's films risk reinforcing pre-existing biases and stereotypes, potentially impacting the self-esteem and aspirations of black children, particularly young girls, who see these limited and often negative representations reflected back at them.
This is about 10 years ago. I had a writer's room, and it was a really bad experience for me. They were turning in scripts that I had to pay for, repay for if they were bad, and I was just like, I'll just do it myself. And my ratings started to take a dip. So I just said, I'm going to write my own stuff. But listen, The Have and Have-Nots is still the #1 show on Tuesday nights. The Oval and Sister is still the #1 show on BET. So somebody's loving my writing. So I'm going to focus on that. But as far as Tyler Perry Studios, there are other projects that we're working on, that there's going to be a showrunner, that there'll be other writers that are not what my audience is expecting from me. So yeah, there'll be other opportunities. But as far as self-care to go, no, I'm good. When you are a writer, they give you what's called combat pay if you can write something in 3 months. I write my whole season in 2 weeks. Most writers take, like, if they're going to go write a script or a movie, they get 6, 7, 8 months to go write it. I write these things in like 2 weeks because it's my head. All this stuff is in my head, and my audience loves it. So I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm speaking directly to them. We speak a language, so I'm not going to change what I'm doing because people don't like that I write everything.
And the worst part is that there are still many people who still support him. It's weird, isn't it? How can a filmmaker whose work is seen by many as deeply problematic and even anti-black still garner such immense support from within the very community he's accused of misrepresenting? It's a question that has sparked countless debates and exposed a complex web of factors at play. The lack of black voices in positions of power within Hollywood is a huge contributing factor. When representation is already so limited, there's a natural inclination within the black community to rally behind those who manage to break through, even if their work isn't universally embraced. It's a case of better something than nothing, as if any representation, regardless of its quality or message, is inherently valuable. Perry's success also stems from his ability to tap into a certain cultural familiarity. His films are filled with inside jokes, familiar tropes, and a shared cultural language that resonates with many black viewers. This creates a sense of connection and recognition, a feeling of seeing aspects of their own lives and experiences reflected on screen, even if those reflections are often distorted or exaggerated. But the black community is so much more than the narrow and often negative portrayals offered by Tyler Perry. To settle for his limited vision is to accept a diminished version of ourselves. It's time to demand more from our storytellers, to support and uplift those who dare to capture the full spectrum of black experiences, the joy, the pain, the triumphs, the complexities, in all their messy, beautiful, and authentic glory. One person wrote on X how to spot a Tyler Perry film. 1. Infidelity. 2. Domestic violence. 3. Unnecessary scenes. And 4. Unconnected plot twists. Sadly, this whole issue of colorism and stereotyping in Hollywood is far from new. It's like a stain that's been there for ages, and people are finally fed up and calling it out. It's not just Tyler Perry, it's a systemic problem that runs deep. Remember Harvey Weinstein? He was the first domino to fall, exposing the dark underbelly of Hollywood power dynamics and the allowed to fester for far too long. And now, with documentaries pulling back the curtain even further and revealing the predatory behavior of some major players, it's clear that this is not just a few bad apples, but a rotten system. The Me Too movement added fuel to the fire, shining a light on the rampant that women, particularly women of color, have faced in the industry. And then there was Kevin Hart stepping down from the Oscars over those homophobic tweets, and the Oscars So White campaign demanding more diversity and recognition for marginalized communities. Hollywood's reputation is definitely tarnished. It's gone from being this glamorous dream factory to a place associated with scandal, and a lack of accountability. Even the iconic Walk of Fame has lost some of its luster, with so many stars who were once celebrated now exposed for their harmful actions. It's like the whole industry is going through a much-needed reckoning, and it's about time. And while Perry should be fixing the decades-old issues, he's feeding onto them. Back in the 1940s, Hollywood was like the center of the universe, and everyone who's anyone is dressed to the nines for the Oscars. And then, this amazing thing happens. Hattie McDaniel won Best Supporting Actress for her role in Gone with the Wind. She was the first African American to ever win an Oscar. You'd think everyone would be over the moon, right? But here's the thing. Even though she won this huge award, Hattie was forced to sit at a separate table, all by herself, at the back of the room, away from the rest of the cast, away from the celebration. Can you imagine how dehumanizing that must have felt? Instead of her win being this huge step forward for equality, it just showed everyone how deeply racist Hollywood and America really was. Now fast forward about 80 years, you'd think things would be totally different by now, right? Like, we've had a civil rights movement, we've had a black president. Surely Hollywood has gotten its act together, right? They talk a big game about diversity and inclusion, but when you look at who gets nominated, who gets the awards, and who gets to tell their stories, it's clear to everyone that not much has changed since then. Remember the 2020 Oscars? Yeah, more of the same old drama. And don't even get me started on Lupita getting completely snubbed for her incredible performance in Us. Perry's built this whole empire, giving black actors jobs and telling black stories, which is amazing. But if you take a closer look at his movies and shows, there's this pattern that's hard to ignore. It's like he's stuck in this weird in-between space where he's giving black people a voice, but those voices are often stuck, saying and doing the same old stereotypical things. One person wrote on X, Tyler Perry's movies are more than just not for everyone. He's more than just lazy. He's a purveyor of misogynoir and anti-black stereotypes, and I'm never going to look away in the name of he hires black people. It's like there's this unspoken rule in Tyler Perry's universe. If you're a dark-skinned black actor, you're either the villain or stuck in some seriously messed up situation. Remember Steve Harris in Diary of a Mad Black Woman? He played Charles, the successful lawyer who turns into a complete jerk, dumps his wife for another woman, and then treats her like dirt. It's painful to watch, and it feeds into this harmful stereotype of the successful, dark-skinned black man who turns his back on his roots. One person wrote, Tyler Perry movies are bad depictions of black people. Black man beats wife, she finds God, and now everybody electric slide. One thing that really stands out in Tyler Perry's movies is how often the bad guys are dark-skinned black men. And it's not just that they're the villains, they're often shown being cruel or abusive to women. This has sparked a lot of criticism, with people saying it's harmful and just reinforces negative stereotypes about dark-skinned men. It's interesting though because Perry has other shows where he seems to be trying different things. There's Sistas, which focuses on 4 single black women. The tagline is single but never solo. So it seems like it's about their journeys as single women and all the ups and downs that come with that. But here's the thing, in a lot of the ads for the show, they show the women by themselves, not really as a group. It's subtle, but it kind of makes you think that even though they're there for each other, they're each on their own paths. And the show itself really digs into their lives, their dating dramas, their careers, their friendships. It feels more complex and real than some of Perry's other stuff. But no matter what, Tyler Perry's movies and shows always get people talking, especially on social media. People have really strong opinions about how he portrays black women, especially when it comes to relationships and the way they're treated by men. Some people find Tyler Perry's focus on the hardships black women face, especially in romantic relationships, to be a bit repetitive and one-dimensional. They argue that it paints a limited and somewhat negative picture, but then again, others say he's just keeping it real, showing the struggles that a lot of black women actually go through. And that's why his movies resonate with so many people. And then there's the whole Medea thing. Yeah, she's hilarious, no doubt. But some people like Dave Chappelle have a real issue with the whole black man in a dress trope. He even talked about it on Oprah, asking why so many black actors are asked to play female characters. He even told this story about how he was filming a movie with Martin Lawrence, and they tried to get him to wear a dress for a scene where his character escaped from jail. He flat out refused, saying he didn't need to wear a dress to be funny. What's even more interesting is that they were able to rewrite the scene super quickly, which made him wonder why they were so insistent on the dress in the first place.
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, why all these brothers gotta wear a dress? That's happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in the trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. They come in. The writer comes in. I think he's the writer. He's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as the and he put this dress on, and what? Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're a writer. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave. Listen, we got it all set up. We're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much money. You know, the pressure comes in. He said, I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. What am I, Milton Berle? You know, we're going like this. And then finally he's like, and he leaves. And then, like, the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. What is wrong? What is this, Brokeback Mountain in here? So
People on X are super vocal about hating his work. One wrote, "My thoughts on Tyler Perry have never wavered. He's a misogynoirist who lives to humble black women. I loathe him and his buffoon alter ego Medea. That made billions at our expense and has the audacity to want us to live on love. He can bite the deepest part of my groin." For Chappelle, it wasn't just about the dress itself. It was about a bigger issue in Hollywood where black actors are often pressured to do things that feel demeaning or unnecessary, just for the sake of a cheap laugh or to fit into some stereotype.
Wear the dress. I don't want to wear the dress. I want to wear this dress. You know what I mean? Oh, gosh, this guy's so difficult. They leave. Now the producers come on, David would be so great. I mean, and then I started thinking about it. All the comics that I've seen, man, you know, strong brothers, why are they putting us in these dresses? But the minute it was clear, I was adamant, I'm not wearing a dress. I'm not wearing the dress. All right, fine. Think of something else. That comes back 10 minutes later, the whole new scene. Hot damn, how did you write the scene so fast? You know, it's like, so you gotta take a step.
Tyler Perry is not one to stay silent when he's being criticized. He recently sat down with Keke Palmer on her podcast, and things got interesting when they started talking about how a lot of black people, especially on black Twitter, aren't fans of his work. Perry's response? Let's just say it didn't go over well. He basically implied that black folks who don't like his movies are just a bunch of stuck-up, therapy-going elitists. People were rolling their eyes so hard you could practically hear it through the internet. The whole thing just solidified this image of Perry as someone who's completely out of touch and unwilling to listen to any kind of criticism. It's like he thinks just because he's successful and hangs out with royalty now, his work is beyond reproach. Look, everyone agrees that Perry deserves credit for paying his actors fairly and for creating opportunities for black talent, and the man is a workaholic, no doubt. But that doesn't change the fact that his movies and shows often rely on tired stereotypes and predictable storylines. There are so many talented black writers and directors out there who could do amazing things if they had the same resources and support that Perry does. It's just a shame that he doesn't seem open to evolving his craft or making space for other voices. One wrote, "I celebrate Tyler Perry for being a successful black man that paved a way for himself and built his own table to sit at. However, I don't celebrate mediocrity. I truly believe he panders lackluster, stereotypical, content to our community for profit, and that, I cannot get with it." So, what do you think? Comment down below and let us know. If you like this video, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be the first to see my next video. I post updates like this every week where I uncover the secrets of your favorite celebrities.